developments. It will take the intervention of Bud, an African grey parrot, to help solve. When they married in 2005, it was hardly a match made in heaven.
Marty and Glenna Duram never had a good stability. They were never really happy.
The couple lived in this remote corner of Michigan near the small community of San. Stemmed from Marty's physical problems. In 1995, several years before they
even remember his first marriage or his own children.
As the years went by, his injuries
He couldn't even take care of his own daily activities, and not only did that maybe take away his sense of manhood,
she had to manage his money, his well-being, and him in the household.
Glenna
Glenna was basically avoiding dealing with some of her emotional issues, her unresolved.
He was a pain in the ass to care for, and that one of these days she was going to kill him.
He couldn't even do daily activities.
Have probably been taken seriously.
There was just one upside that Glenna could find in having to look after her.
Was happy to have someone look after him, and she was quite happy to be making the money that she was making. Web, it would have been very difficult, especially if she had the access to funds to fund this lifestyle. It sort of satisfies that short-term emotional sort of boost and pulls them out.
Less than 2,000 people live there, but it's a very tight-knit community where Lois apparently frequented a lot.
She spent the day there gambling.
Spending money that she had taken from her husband after
Boost, she certainly knew where to find them.
In 2010, the year that she took over as guardian for
you in a much more horrible state. It's like you can't stop. It's this impulse that you have to do.
Unsustainable.
the couple had money problems before. Things are only getting worse. was not doing that, though.
Duram probably saw Marty as a liability. He was bringing her down.
Addiction is really making matters worse.
The ingredients were all there. Dissatisfaction with possibility that she and her sick husband Marty have run out of cash.
The couple's finances are really
It's the first inkling Marty had that things may not be quite as they seemed.
During these difficulties, Martin had no idea.
Glenna, and she says, no, that's not true. There's no way. They made a mistake. Don't worry about it.
Dr. Judy Ho has studied the case closely. She believes Glenna's secrecy about her addiction
An individual with antisocial personality disorder who has very little remorse, is always thinking about
The couple had not been making their mortgage payments, their $700 a month mortgage payments. Paid. Glenna is ignoring them. She's using all the couple's money to gamble. The car payments are not being made. It contains $200. That's pretty much all they had to their name. companies for not paying the bills.
And then Glenna made a strange decision.
Glenna
if Glenna suffered other conditions that perhaps depression really didn't capture.
The accumulating problems
She was in huge, dire financial straits. She had racked up such a debt.
what?
Glenna was unable to make good decisions, and she was just waiting for that next. Sort of brewing in her mind, like, I'm the person responsible for his well-being. If I just didn't feed him one day or didn't give him what he
Tuesday, May 12, 2015, the night before the Durham's house was due.
I don't think that it came as a complete surprise to him, but given that his health was already deteriorating and
This handgun.
Glenna's cell phone did searches at night on
Her mother about. As the new day dawned, the mystery was about to deepen.
May 13th. It's actually
Martin was out hunting, but they didn't really give it too much thought.
Now, though,
down and they say, please, help. We're concerned about our neighbors. We haven't seen them.
What the emergency responders
Something important to tell them. She says, it's really crucial that you look under the levee.
in Rapids, Michigan, husband and wife Marty and Glenna Duram are discovered by emergency responders who are forced to break into the house.
To her head.
The couple's home was a wreck with broken furniture and clothes strewn about the place.
Seem to be thrown. There's a lamp that's broken, fallen off a table.
It seems to have been taken.
It really doesn't look like it was a robbery.
If it wasn't a robbery gone tragic,
And as soon as he touches her, her eyes fly open and asks, "What are you doing?" She doesn't know what happened, and she thinks they're trying to harm Martin. She gets
Or anything.
not only did she claim not to remember anything about the night of the shootings, she also had an interesting something to hide. Marty's family was certainly suspicious that there might be more
And apparently in Glenna's handwriting and signed by Glenna Duram. There letters to the children are like an apology. Glenn is saying, I love you so much. That the couple had a violent argument and Glenna killed Martin.
Duram had said at one point,
It might have been a persuasive theory to Marty's family, but it was hardly conclusive evidence that would stand up.
One week after the shooting, police get a call from a woman by the name of Fran Fuller.
Conducted a thorough search of Marty and Glenna's house on 128th Street.
Investigators found bullets throughout the
Recovered the murder weapon, the Ruger .6.
It's very rare that someone who commits a murder with because she told them to look under the couch, and that's where the firearm was. She was questioned.
Was beginning to fall apart.
It's pretty obvious by the placement of the weapon and
She doesn't remember any of that, but when they tell her the content, she says, yeah, that sounds like something charged with Martin's murder.
And then, the strangest twist of all.
A parrot is about to come.
Martin had a parrot. His parrot's name was Bud.
After Marty's murder,
Good at mimicking voices, men and women voices, distinct voices, and they're also start squawking.
as Christina listened, she was astonished to hear Bud apparently replaying one particular conversation. Bud the parrot was singing like a canary.
Here's this foul day.
Some of the recordings sounded like indistinct arguing, other parts were remarkably clear. After all, she figured, Bud could hardly be a witness in a murder trial.
Bud the parrot
Decides that she's going to share the video with the parrot.
Christina comes forward and reveals that she viral immediately. It becomes a huge internet sensation around the world.
Christina
Police custody.
In June 2016, Glenna was arrested for felony firearms possession.
shared that view.
I'm not immediately convinced that Duram had intended to commit suicide. She had
She was shown the gruesome photographs of her husband Marty's gunshot injuries.
When she's looking at these photos, it didn't really somebody who really is calloused and doesn't really have empathy, and their emotions don't operate the same way that average people do.
As it happened.
Prosecutors had been forced to conclude that they could not
Can testify and tell the jury what Bud the parrot said. And she does.
side a firearms felony, the murder conviction could lead to only one outcome. On August 28th, Duram
by the way that she approached her relationship with Marty, how she dealt with her addiction and the financial issues that came about.
using the Ruger Single 6 to murder her husband.
Once she shot him, she probably started to realize that
killing her husband in part because of the evidence of Bud the parrot.